Can you see my screen? Michelle, are you there?
Looking good. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, cool.
But
Awesome.
I forgot. It's a quiet thumbs up.
No, it's perfect. So yes, I've titled my presentation, Building a More Resilient California Farming System. While I've spent most of my service hours with my host site CAF and will therefore be talking about my work at the organization for the majority of the presentation, I'd just like to say a few words about GrizzlyCorps, the AmeriCorps program. I found GrizzlyCorps in March of 2020, just as I was wrapping up my undergraduate studies at UC Berkeley, and was thoroughly excited about the program's emphasis on regenerative agriculture, climate and community resilience, all encompassed in a public service position. And now that I think about it, that's quite the ask, tasking recent graduates to serve time, regenerating California's farming systems, and building healthier communities. But I was down for it and feeling well prepared. I saw it as a good opportunity to put my interdisciplinary science-based education that's been largely focused on ecology, agriculture, public health, and community health to practice. So I applied to join the program in September of 2020, the inaugural year of the fellowship. The environment in which I and the 2020 fellows started was not an easy one. The COVID-19 pandemic was well underway. California and other Western states were experiencing record-breaking wildfires and air quality indices of well over 400 parts per million. And we were mourning the death of George Floyd and countless others lost to systemic racism. It's been a time of disease, a time of climate change, and a time of racial and social injustice. But our ability to respond to and withstand and recover from these adverse situations is to ask about the resilience of our communities, the primary focus of the GrizzlyCorps Fellowship. My host site CAF is deeply committed to asking these questions of climate and community resilience as they pertain to our farming systems. For those not familiar, CAF is a nonprofit organization based in Davis that serves small to medium-sized California farmers through political advocacy and on-the-ground programs. For the past 2 years, I've been serving directly with CAF's ecological farming program and working with our amazing team of 7, who I've included photos with at the beginning or at the bottom of the page, to help address our programmatic goal of affecting the widespread adoption of ecological farming practices and systems in California to improve the health of its agroecosystem. My work at CAF has significantly improved my understanding of what resilient farming systems look like, both below and above ground. And I'd like to spend the remainder of our time together discussing. So as I was mentioning, I was able to, I had a science-based education in undergrad, and I was able to study the scientific processes and pathways that govern our sustainable farming systems. I learned about key soil health practices like keeping the soil covered and reducing soil disturbance, as well as key practices like cover cropping and no-till. I hold these experiences close to my heart as they were my entry point to agriculture. But due to the inherent nature of our large-scale agriculture research institutions, I was struggling to find the real-world applicability of this research. It was through CAF that I was introduced to the idea of on-farm research, where, as my host site supervisor, Sarah, says, we pair research and the farmer's experience to better understand both the science behind ecological farming and the benefits and trade-offs that affect the successful adoption in the long term. Throughout my second year of service, I've spent 33 days on farms, visiting over 16 individual operations, and pulling over 240 soil cores with the help of the ecological farming team to help farmers understand the health of their agroecosystems. We've assessed soil chemical properties like carbon and nitrogen concentrations, biological properties like microbial biomass, and physical properties like bulk density, a measurement of compaction, soil texture, a metric of soil's mineral composition, and water infiltration rates, a measure of water's movement through the soil profile. And I've also been able to gain some skills and experiences pertaining to monitoring pest and pollinator and predator populations. It's really been a joy to be part of the research process at every step, from collecting data in the field to packing and forming partnerships with laboratories across the nation, from here at UC Davis to University of Missouri Soil Health Assessment Center to Regenerative Ag Labs in Kansas to Ward Laboratories in Nebraska. And following sample packing and shipment, I've also been able to continue exercising my data processing and analytical skills this past service year. With all that said, I want to acknowledge that the information above is deeply rooted in Western science. It's objective and it's quantitative. As Professor Tim Bowles of agroecology at UC Berkeley states, we come together from different backgrounds and different approaches to knowledge and knowing. This is exactly what we mean when we pair research trials with farmers' experience. Rich Collins, farmer and longtime CAF friend, recently shared at a field day that farmers here in Davis, they're given access to the resources of the renowned agriculture institution of UC Davis. And at the same time, I like to encourage farmers to trust their knowledge, their sense of touch, smell, and sight to determine the health of their farming systems. Through CAF's many on-farm research trials, I've learned that our partner farms are the true knowledge holders of what healthier agriculture systems look like. They spend sun up to sundown on the same fields for months, years, and decades, and we must center them as we talk about climate-based solutions offered by our ecological farming systems. So you can see that with this kind of project of helping administer on-farm research trials and demonstration projects, it's taken about 30% of my total service hours and has really kind of percolated throughout all of my service months. Here are just a few glimpses inside what on-farm research and demonstration trials look like here at CAF. You see my excellent supervisor with superb form, whacking soil cores into the ground. The next are excellent research partners over at UC Berkeley with the head of this no-till project, Cole Rainey, all the way to the left. And a few of his excellent undergraduate researchers. We were up on we were at a no-till diversified vegetable farm in the Sierra foothills, close to home. And we also see Moe and Hana, two of my colleagues who work directly for the Biologically Integrated Orchard Systems project, as we were setting up at a walnut orchard in Linden. And the last one is my coworker Dahlia's arm holding a large bucket of cover crops mustard in a walnut orchard in Colusa. While some of our program's on-farm research projects are just commencing, many are in their final stages and we're working to wrap them up. The end goal is to synthesize the scientific findings and again, pair them with farmer insights to then be pushed out to the larger farming community. Some of the intermediate steps that I took this year to push forward this programmatic need was to assemble 6 soil and cover crop health reports for our partner farmers, share data results and recommended statistical models to our research partners at UC Berkeley. And I even connected with a media communication specialist to think about potential publications and outlets for our findings. And I was also really grateful to contribute to the development of a wildfire resiliency framework for farmers. So this project took about 18% of my total service hours, and again was also, pretty consistent throughout my term of service. But on-farm research and education resources are only part of the puzzle that are needed to affect the widespread adoption of ecological-oriented farming practices and building resilient farming communities. Farmers must have the financial resources to acquire the infrastructure to implement these practices and the networks to tap into to ask experienced farmers their questions and seek advice. To help address some of these needs, I was able to provide technical assistance for the California Department of Food and Agriculture, CDFA's Healthy Soils Implementation Program, like many other fellows. I was proud to directly assist 10 farmers inquiring about and/or applying to the program. And while there are many praises to sing for financial incentive programs like these, there are incredible barriers to accessing them for small and BIPOC farmers. When chaos and barriers arose, I tried my best to pivot and adapt, working hard to learn about other financial resources for farmers like Zero Foodprint's Compost Connector Program and Soil Health Program. I was also really happy to provide assistance to a grower applying to CAF's Drought Emergency Fund within the last month. And as I mentioned, farmer networks are key to building more resilient farming systems. CAF has taught me that a farmer's best educator is not an academic or extension agent, but a fellow farmer. We categorize this area of work as facilitating farmer-to-farmer knowledge sharing opportunities. That is creating spaces like farmer field days or regional gatherings for farmers to learn from one another. A highlight of my service term was helping organize the Yolo Solano County Regional Farmer Gathering as part of the annual Small Farms Conference, as I got to take a leadership role and co-facilitate 5 internal meetings to plan the event, which ended up having a good turnout of about 45 food and farming advocates. These latter 2 areas of work, providing technical assistance and facilitating farmer gatherings, has been an area of growth for me this service term and an area of work I've really enjoyed. It's allowed me to exercise my interpersonal and communication skills and show off my genuine spirit. So here are just a few photos of what this type of work looked like for me during this past service year. Whereas the first photo is a picture of a few farmers and food advocates walking through an orchard right out here in Winters, California. My dear colleague Dahlia and I posted up at Temple Coffee in Sacramento, trying to turn out some healthy soils applications for farmers. And just a few of the folks who were present at the Yolo Solano regional gathering for farmers at the Collins Farm here in Davis. And so over the past 2 years at CAF, I've learned a lot about small farm advocacy. But after my first term of service, I still didn't quite feel that I could fully empathize and understand a farmer's needs. And that's quite frankly, because I've never farmed. So I thought I needed to do something about it. And with the support and encouragement of my supervisor and the flexibility of the GrizzlyCorps program, I was able to join SunTracker Farm, a small diversified vegetable operation in the Capay Valley, as a farmhand from October of last year through April of this year. During those 6 months, I spent Fridays working with Corinne and Robert, the 2 farmers, harvesting, washing, and packing seasonal vegetables and fruits. I also partook in miscellaneous farm tasks like laying remake cloth and rolling up drip tape. I think this experience above all others has shown me the incredible challenges small farmers face in California, and it fuels my fire and my passions to keep advocating. So that's a little bit of an overview and summary of my time and my service hours and training hours throughout my last 2 years of service. But I really do want to highlight just the amazing people that I've come across both last year and this year. In the background, you can see a faint outline of some of the amazing GrizzlyCorps fellows throughout this past year of service, congregating at Alex's and my home here in Davis. And then at the bottom, my CAF family, this photo was taken at our winter all-staff retreat. I do want to highlight my wonderful supervisor, Sarah Tiffany. That's the 2 of us posted up in a walnut tree. And I would just want to thank you for 2 years of supervision, advice, guidance, knowledge. All of it I've so appreciated. This next one is just highlighting some of my other CAF staff, or some of the other CAF staff, coworker Anna and Holly and Yusuf. And I just love this picture because I think it really just shows how happy I am doing this type of work and the people I'm surrounded by. The third photo is some of the fellows at Winterfest as we were gathering over dinner after a long day of maintaining and reestablishing hedgerows along a riparian corridor on a organic dairy out in Valley Ford. And last but certainly not least, the fellow that you just heard from before, Alex, who's also my housemate. And I've just really enjoyed the past year that we've been able to spend together. So what's next for me? Some things are figured out, others are not, but I'm super excited to be joining CAF as a part-time staff member this coming September for more fun times ahead, such as hula hooping at our office space. And what am I going to do with my other part-time work? I'm not sure yet. And I think that is totally okay. And I'm still figuring things out, hoping there's some farm work on the horizon or maybe some public health work as well. So with that, I just want to thank you all so much for attending and turn it back over to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Rose. And I think I can speak on behalf of all the Grizzles and Grizzlies and all the folks that you've been supported by and have supported at CAF, that it has been an honor to have you in relationship, and we feel so lucky to have had you for the past 2 years. And it'll be a bittersweet goodbye, but very excited to see what comes next. And if anyone has anything they'd like to say to Rose, or in the chat, feel free to unmute, add to the chat itself, questions, thoughts, but we appreciate you.
Hi all, my name is Sarah Tiffany. I work for CAF, and I've had the pleasure of working with Rose over the last 2 years. And I just wanted to, really thank you, Rose, for all of the incredible work you've done and just the spirit that you bring to CAF. I think it's fair to say, even after, a year, probably 6 months at CAF, you would interface with everyone on the staff. You were an integral part of that team, and that's only increased further and I think deepened. And I think I can speak on behalf of the organization. We couldn't be more thrilled that you're joining us as a staff member. So, thank you for everything. It's been a blast, and I'm really excited to keep it going.
Me too. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yes, agreed. Rose is incredible, and again, so happy and grateful for the past 2 years. So with that, thank you again, Rose.